Hello and welcome back to the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? Happy Pesach!
Happy Passover.
Yes.
Today I'm going to, right after this recording, I'm going to a Seder. It's going to be great.
Love a Seder. I think a Seder is the true front row seat to how Jews are.
Yeah, thoughts of Mike.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
because it's like there's this like at-home DIY service you have to do.
Yeah.
And depending on your level of Judaism, you do like, you know, the kindergarten version, or you do the long version, or somewhere in between. And we're all like, none of us feel confident enough. Like maybe we have the most Jewish person there, but no one feels confident enough to like really say with confidence what we should be doing.
Right. Where it's like, there's also a thing where it's like this is sort of the big marker of just how religious the family or the situation is.
Right.
Like like you said, how the kindergarten version, are we rushing through this? Is it like a 4-hour event?
Right.
How much can the person handle? And my family has like varying levels of religiousness. So we've been to parts of my family where the Seders are very long, and I think it's like too much for Mike, which is fine with me because I'm not particularly religious either, but I like the tradition of it. So tonight we're going to my mom's. It's going to be, my mom also has the patience of like a 5-year-old, so it's going to probably be the kindergarten version of it.
Right.
She won't be able to stop herself from making jokes at every point
Right.
in it. But it is funny when we go to my mom's as opposed to his family. Like his family, it's like we shouldn't be eating for like 4 days before because there's going to be so much food that you're going to want to be able to like enjoy every part of it.
Right.
With my family, it's like make sure you bring snacks in the car and eat a big lunch because it's going to be like whatever was like scrounged around from whatever restaurant was open.
Especially on Passover, because that plate,
Yeah.
it is not a meal. You know, like
No.
that, it is. I remember being starving.
There's one boiled egg and a piece of lettuce for 7 people
Right.
for the next 2 hours.
Until you get to the real meal.
Right.
Oh, I remember my mom's side of the family. We used to go to Detroit, and they were more religious than my dad's. My dad didn't do shit. With kindergarten would be too much.
Too much, right? That's nice though, because then you don't have to, you don't want to be like rebelling against the religiousness of the family. So if they're already kind of like half-assing it,
Right. Everyone
you don't have to feel guilty.
No one
Right.
feels guilty.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we were just getting together to eat.
Yeah, you're only as guilty as like the person who's the most religious insisting on you doing the thing.
Right. I remember just going to Detroit, and it felt like hours. They'd be like, now turn to page 35. You're like, I can't believe we're still doing this.
No,
and then
yeah.
you'd start eating the morar. You convince yourself it tasted good.
Because you haven't eaten anything else.
Right.
So
that's why people like gefilte fish, because it was the only thing you could eat for hours. It was just, yeah. So I have fond memories of Passover. Just the show of it to me is always funny. Like just the people getting together and doing it. But
are you the young? No, you're not the youngest.
I'm not the youngest. So
No
yeah,
four
the youngest has
questions
to put
for
on
you.
a performance.
Yeah.
The youngest has to do the 4 questions. Yeah, that whole thing.
So you're no Seder tonight, I assume.
I'm
since
not.
you're in New
No,
York.
my mom wanted me to come, and I'm like, no, I'm here. We have to make the show. We
Always
have to make
working.
sure. Always working.
Yeah.
Speaking of always working, I'm on the road.
Let's hear it.
People, we've added a 4th London show.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
That's incredible.
That's incredible,
Congratulations.
right? Thank you.
That's amazing.
We should do a You Up Live. I mean, that
We
should
should
tell
do
us.
a You Up Live in London.
That would be unbelievable, because so now I have a
love
4th London show. I'm so excited. It's Coronation weekend. So
Oh, wow. What weekend is that? The May 5th-ish?
yeah. So
Cinco
we're gonna get a
de
new,
Prince Charles?
That's right. Gonna get a new king.
King Charles. Sorry, Cinco de King Charles.
Right. Cinco de King Charles. The board lord will be at the coronation.
Wow.
So-
Perfect place for a lord of your standing.
Thank you.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this,
I would love to see you at the coronation, like in the crowds.
I'm
for the
bringing a
content.
king's hat. I'm gonna bring a scepter. Hear me. Yeah.
I cannot wait.
So before that, I'm going to Austin for shows. Nice. I want these Austin shows to be hot. So come Dublin, Belfast, London. We added a 4th show. Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Berlin, Oslo. Then we are going on the road.
Going to Chicago, May 18th.
Chicago, get those tickets. They're running low, right?
Yeah.
People are buying.
Chicago is almost out, I think. Yeah.
Philadelphia, Boston, New York, DC. We're coming to all those cities. We do live dating app makeovers. We
deal reveals.
Audience questions. That's the fun. I like the audience questions when they're good.
Agreed. Yeah.
So don't come with your bullshit.
We want the good stuff.
Yeah.
We prep, so we're going to find the questions that are the best.
Right. So, and then I'm coming to Kansas City, Nashville, Lexington, Charlotte. So jaredfree.com for tickets. What are we talking about today, Jordana?
Today we're talking about how to get over first date nerves.
First date nerves.
Do you get first date nerves? Or do you ever or is it more like, I don't feel like doing this?
Here's something that's actually started to happen to me. I have this moment where I look in the mirror, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you, 10? Going on a date, combing your hair, getting dressed, showered? Look at you.
It's the most natural thing in the world.
I know, but I feel like I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm going on a first date. You know, like you feel like, maybe it's an age thing where you start to go, oh my God, I'm doing this again.
Right.
It does feel like you're at the bottom of Mount Everest.
Okay.
You know, you're like, and
you feel like you're an established actor who has to audition.
Right. That's me. What am I doing here? I'm above this. Right. There is an above this at a certain age, I think, where you're like, I don't know. It just feels like such a young, silly thing. Okay. We're getting together. First date. What's your name? What's your name?
Everyone goes on dates.
I know. You got to start somewhere. And then that's where I come back to the even, where I go, you got to start somewhere. What do you think? You're going to not go on a first date? But
you're never like nervous. To me, it seems more like you're just kind of like, I don't know if I'm in the mood to do this.
Right. I think mood is the biggest thing we don't really like assess for a date.
Right. Well, is one ever in the mood to go on a date with someone they haven't met yet? Is the real question.
It's funny when you say that. With me, they should be pumped.
Well, that one can feel like they have met you because there's so much video and
there's
content
stuff out there
to someone to see. Whereas for you, it's like you don't really have a sense of someone's personality.
No, and that's I think what the apps are supposed to give you is like, oh shit, we kind of have this cool thing going on. Yeah, I can't wait to meet them in person. Like, I think like sometimes it's there's so many different feelings before the first date. Like it's like I feel stupid. I'm a little excited. Maybe this is the person that like makes me like fucking say screw everything else.
Right.
You're a little nervous. Yeah, you're nervous because you're like, what are we gonna talk about? Like I hope I have things to say. I hope it's not awkward.
And you're at that point where it's like you're not at the point where you could be like you're just like going on a date and you're comfy. So now it's like I have to be on.
That's another thing. You need energy.
Yeah.
You need to be like
or like what's the point?
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've had a cup of coffee before a date because I'm like, and there is this thing like I'm totally addicted to my phone. I'm on my phone all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you notice about yourself, but like I'm just like melting when I look at my phone. Like I am at a zero. It's almost
Meaning
like
what?
There's like a meditative state.
Oh, or is it withdrawal when you're not on your phone? You're saying the feeling of like anxious, like I need to get back to it.
No, it's not even the withdrawal. It's just when I'm on it, I'm like, like
it feels good.
It feels good.
Okay.
You ooze into your phone.
Yeah.
And it's like to go on a date and have your phone in your pocket and you're like zoned in is the total opposite of looking at your phone.
Right. Well, I mean, a sign of a good date is when you didn't want to look at your phone.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Or don't even think like, what's the next topic gonna be?
Right.
Like that's a big thing. Like I can tell how bad a date is going, or not bad. I don't want to say bad. How not the match it is. How early into the date I ask, how was your weekend? What do you have going on this weekend?
Right. Yeah.
Because that's that's
looking
always
for a topic.
Right. That's something I got in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Like if this conversation slows down, so what's happening this weekend?
Yeah, I think even with friends, if you're like out with friends or on like a double date or something, and you're kind of like, so you guys got anything this summer coming up?
Right.
Like what's going on in the next? We go on any trips?
This summer coming up is such a honestly, the minute do you have any trips coming up this summer comes up, you should go, hey, I guess we're not friends anymore. Like, let's cut this out.
That's what I would use for like the wife or girlfriend of Mike's friend that I was wound up talking to at a party, and we're like,
let's hope they're not listening now.
I mean,
Jordana was really interested in our summer vacation plans, and it's like, it means you didn't get along. I mean,
no, when people ask me that, it's like kind of a sign of like, yeah, we're like, we're friendly. Are we truly friends if this is what we're talking about kind of thing? But we're at this event, we're making conversation.
Right. And it makes me think like, what would be some good questions that kind of like get you out of that?
Right.
I think of that all the time. Like, well, like when we did that SOS episode with that guy, like, and then you were like, would you fuck your cousin?
That was my go-to.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, no, but there's got to be good questions that come along with that. Like
so it's kind of like, that's how you can tell, I think, if you're vibing, if you get into a conversation and it's not just like, well, what do you do? And it's more like, what do you do? And, oh, how'd you get into that? There's like an interesting story. They have an interesting perspective on that. And, but what I really want to do is this. And I've always been interested in that. Or again, tell me about your relationship with your family. And like, that can be like boring and an interview like, or it could be like someone giving you like a real interesting, vulnerable take on something.
I was at a date once and I remember looking across being like, I got a question for you. And they were like, what? And thinking I was going to be deep. And I was like, how long do you think this restaurant stays in business?
That's a great question.
Right.
Yeah.
And I go, it's not and I was really like, the food was fine. The place is nice. There's nobody there. I was like, this place is going down, right?
That's how you, right. Well, that's how you get like inside jokes or kind of a vibe going. And if someone's like, how would I know? Then you're like, okay, not a match.
That's the point.
Right.
That's why my first date spot should be a place.
Right.
My idea, where you have a button in front of you, and it's a green and a red button. And you start at a standing bar where you hold the green button and we start talking. Then I go, I like where this is going. I hit green. And then when you hit green, we move to the next room.
Well, it's exactly like that old dating show. Do you remember Next?
Right. Next was, well, then you got a next person.
Well, only if you didn't like the current person.
Right. You go next.
And then it was like you're in the middle of a conversation. It's a more rude version of that.
Right. Mom and dad, they live down in Florida. Next. No, this was you next the room. So it would be like, okay, I got a little clicker in my hand. If we're having a nice conversation in the first bar, I hit green, you hit green, we go to the next room.
Yeah.
There's tables.
I like that.
They start bringing tapas style food. You just keep bringing food. If we both hit green, we go to a club.
They take a little bit more than their fair share. Red.
Okay. A bouncer comes in, yanks them. Right.
That's why I've always hated tapas first date. I always feel like I have to be super like cognizant of how much food I'm taking.
It's why every menu should have a added fee.
Splitting.
Split it.
Yes.
Split it up.
Tapas has always given me a lot of anxiety early in the game.
Right. Right. I know. I'm with you. I like if it's three of you, go fuck yourself.
There's only room for two.
Right.
Right.
It should say at the top, you want splitsies. I'd pay an extra $1.
Make it even.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Add another.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should open a restaurant.
We should. And the
date night.
I like it.
We'll call it date night.
By the U Up podcast.
Right. Let's read the email.
Okay, let's do it. Hi, J&J. I'm writing to you about some dating anxiety I'm experiencing and wondering if you could offer any tips for dealing with it. Basically, I get extremely nervous before every date. I usually feel sick to my stomach for hours leading up to a date, and I'm thrilled when the guy cancels on me.
You and me both.
Once we're out, I either forget how to string a sentence together or talk too much. I can't even eat on a second or third date because I feel sick with nerves, so I try to stick to drinks only.
Uh-oh.
That can't be good. I strictly get drunk. I'm generally a very social person. I have no problem conversing with friends, coworkers, or guys at bars, but I clam up so much on dates. I know a lot of people prefer activities, but those make me even more nervous because I overthink the logistics of it all. I agree with that. I'm not like into a first few dates activities.
Axe
situation.
throwing?
Not on date one. Are you joking? I want to drink in and easy out.
Right. Get me out of here.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for dealing with this besides getting drunk, which is my current method? I get her. I used to do that too. My anxiety has led me to only ever date men I have been friends with first, but at 26, I'm not making the same number of single guy friends I was making in school. I'm on the apps and live in New York City, but I haven't gotten past a third date since moving here and rarely go on first dates. I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure. I would appreciate any tips or experiences you've had. Thank you. Not shy, just stressed.
Well, they never really wrote what they were stressed about. What is the anxiety about?
Well, that's what makes this email kind of hard to answer because she's not like, here's the things that I'm thinking about that make me so nervous, or here's what I'm afraid of when I go on the dates, which gives me all this anxiety. And
then I could, or you could, or we could give like, well, never thought that, never. And 99.9% of things that she would bring up, I'm sure aren't thought about by the guy she's on a date with.
Yeah.
Like, look what he wore. He didn't do a lot of thinking.
That's
true. Like, look at what, if you want to, it's like, I used to have a lot of plane stress, turbulence. And you have to keep saying to yourself, look how many people fly a day. Look how many,
Right, gotta be rational.
Right. When you go over a bumpy road, you don't get nervous that you're going to fall through the road. Why would you be nervous on a turbulence? Like, you keep repeating these things, and that's a version of what she could do. Like, you think these guys are really thinking that deeply? Like, what every little tiny thing she does?
To me, the anxiety, and again, I could be way off base, but if I'm relating this to me and my fears or anxieties before going on dates, which also actually translates to me for my anxieties around going on any like work dinner or meeting, is kind of like, what are we going to be able to talk about and what are they going to think of me are the two fears that go through my head. It's like, we won't have anything to talk about, or I'm going to say something stupid. Right. And so I think those I would imagine are relatively common fears for people who are really nervous before going into dates.
Yes.
And I think the best way to overcome those is to just say, I'm going to go into this being my full self. And the worst thing that could happen is we're not vibing. Mm-hmm. We have a drink and then I go home.
Right. And I think in addition to that, like what we just talked about, like any trips coming up this summer. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing to have in your back pocket. If it's not going well. Because, like, listen, and there's a certain point where if you're asked about trips, you can assess that after the date.
Right.
After the date, you go, you know what? I liked them. They were a nice person. But midway through, we really didn't have anything to talk about. I had to go to my backup plan, which is, what are your plans this weekend? But
to run out the clock.
To run out the clock, right. So that, to me, though, might alleviate their stress. Have some questions.
Right.
That you can go to. Whether that makes a good or bad date, it gets you, runs out the clock, as you just said. So, like, let's have some things in our back pocket that could be soft starters.
Right. And if the chemistry is there, you probably won't need them.
Right. Those are in case of emergency type of thing. Break the glass if there's a fire.
What are you doing this summer? What other ones do we have?
What are you doing this summer?
I guess, what do you do?
What do you got going on this weekend? Yeah. Who do you usually hang out with?
That's a good question. How do you spend your weekends is so interviewee. But like,
yeah. Well, I guess there's better ways to ask that.
What are you doing this weekend is a better version of that.
What are you doing this week? Who do you usually hang out with? Like, is
You've
it
been
New
anywhere
York friends?
interesting recently? Whatever.
These are all like someone's listening. They're like, I don't want to do this, and I agree with you.
But again, that's kind of like, all right, that's you running out the 45 minutes to where you had a drink and it's not working out, and then you can like say you have an early meeting tomorrow and leave.
Right. And I hope that would alleviate, it sounds like they got the yips, like in golf, like you start swinging badly all of a sudden. Like, it sounds like they're just in their head. And it's like, if you have these, then there's less to be in your head about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of other questions.
But also if you because it sounds like she's also envisioning it not going well, which is why she's so happy when they cancel. But if you envision a scenario where like you hit it off and you have think about the last fun date conversation you had.
Right.
And if you're envisioning that and thinking about how that might happen again, that might make you more excited rather than dreading it.
Absolutely. Like, it's The Secret, you gotta like what do they call it? Manifest.
Yes.
Right. Do you like oral or penetration?
That's another route you can go if things are not working out. Yeah.
I don't know. Here's another tip. And this is something I have picked up later in life. First date, eat a protein bar. Eat a protein bar. Eat a protein bar. Okay? A protein bar, 200 calories. You go in, you're not starving. You can have a drink without the first one hitting you like crazy.
Right.
It kind of calms your nerves because you're not sitting there like thinking of other things. Like, I'm telling you, it's like an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
It's your version of the something about Mary pre-day jerk off.
You should also jerk off.
You're like, oh, I thought that was implied.
No, yeah.
Protein bar and masturbation.
You whack off while eating the protein bar. That's what you do.
Exactly.
We're not all doing this.
It's a ritual.
Whack
that's a
off
good
before
idea.
a date is always a good advice too. Maybe this person needs to masturbate.
Masturbate, protein bar.
Rub on that clitoris and chomp on a think bar. I get the think bars.
Oh, interesting.
Big think bar fan. Hopefully they're listening.
Protein bars. I don't like where they
It's
taste.
become a good part of my life. It adds structure to my life in a very structureless world. You know, if I didn't have protein bars, I'd just be masturbating every 5 seconds. It would be like no rules, no nothing.
I've heard of a lot of people replacing therapy with protein bars.
You're right. That's what I've done. It has. Listen, I just don't want another meal. I want something between a meal and being starving.
Okay.
And honestly, I'm not joking when I say this. I masturbate before every date, and I have the protein bar.
The Jared Freed method.
That's the Jared Freed.
Yes. Give it a shot. Let us know.
Give
how
it a
goes.
shot. Rub on the button.
There you
go. Go to Ooh La Laville. Let's do some awkward sex. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, J&J, a few months back, I was in another city for work, and after dinner, many drinks with coworkers, I got back to my hotel around 10 p.m. and immediately went on Bumble. I like this. I matched with a guy. They did the reverse. They masturbated after.
Yeah.
I matched with a guy who asked me to get a drink. He was hot, but I was way too tired to venture out in the public. And after some vetting to ensure he was who he said he was, in my drunken confidence, I figured I would do something completely out of my comfort zone and invite this guy to my hotel.
Bless you.
Hey.
Wow.
That
was a big one.
Me. Oh my
okay?
God, I thought I was going to die.
Wow.
Woo! We got to get a replay of that on the video.
You might have just started the next pandemic.
Right.
Started patient zero.
That's me. Did I get you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't feel
Someone
any.
bring-
I didn't feel any precipitation.
Right.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah. Woo. Oh, can we? I was trying to hold it back while I was reading because I couldn't get to the end of the sentence. I was like,
now it makes sense.
And it felt like it just grazed
Those always
my
happen
ear.
when you try to
Right.
swallow it. Instead, it.
I would love to see the replay. It felt like I got shot.
We'll put that on the Instagram story.
That's
the slow mo.
All right. I would do something completely out of my comfort zone and invite this guy over to my hotel room. And he came. And he was who he said he was.
That's gonna been
what a low bar.
Me. Yeah.
Right. The night was honestly everything you would hope a one-night stand would be. Heavy petting, touching, grabbing.
What is everything you hope a one night stand would be?
Them leaving early.
Okay. I was going to say,
they
look like
right.
as good or better than the picture.
They're cool.
They're right. They're cool. They're fun.
Right. Down.
Not awkward.
Not awkward. Understand it.
Yes.
Like,
and there's like a sexy vibe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Safe, obviously.
Yes.
You know, understand, don't take your, questions as weird. Like, we've talked about this before when you're like, well, are you, like if I was like, say, like, are you on birth control?
Right.
Sometimes that gets,
go with it.
They're like, oh,
right.
Of course. And, and then like that, sometimes are you on birth control gets considered, oh, you don't want to wear a condom. Like,
they don't misinterpret your questioning about their contraception.
Right. You're on birth control. I got a condom. I take one out. No one's judgy of that. Like it's just all down the middle.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Blowjobs.
There you go.
Some people are like, no, that's more intimate than sex.
Some people do think that. Yeah, I could see someone being like, ideal one night stand doesn't involve that.
Oh, no. My ideal one night stand, we're all mouths everywhere.
It's getting a lot. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everywhere. Got it.
All holes attended to.
Attended to, yeah.
The night was honestly everything you would hope a one-night stand would be. I was leaving my work trip the following night. So he said I should come to his place before because he lives by the airport.
He lives in the Delta Lounge.
Right. Hold on. This person is...
That's what you want from a one-night stand, not someone you're dating. They live by the airport.
Yeah, right. I'd have never heard of by the airport in a glowing way.
I guess for a one-night stand, it'd be like literally the most convenient thing.
Right.
They live right next to the airport.
But I guess my issue is they had the one-night stand. We had a great time. Hey, why don't you stop by before you hit the airport? What? Right. I'd be like, no, we're done here.
I guess if it was that good, you're like last licks before I get to the airport. Yeah. But they live close to the airport.
I guess so it's on the way. Yeah. I don't know. I'm in my plain clothes.
I have to return the rental car anyway.
Right. I don't know. It's just interesting that they're like, he said I should come by to his place before because he lives by the airport.
I can think of no other scenario where living by the airport is a plus.
Any. You're right. You're right. Can you imagine any scenario where you stop by someone who lives by the airport?
No, I'm saying this is the only thing where it's like, great.
So she writes, so I figured, why not? He owns his own barbecue company. So when I got there, he had just come from an event and had leftover barbecue and asked if I wanted ribs.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything less sexy than stop by my place that's near the airport, have some of my leftover ribs before we start fucking?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, Jessica Simpson, I feel like had made eating the ribs sexy.
She did?
It wasn't there like that song that she had that was like she's in the music video and she's eating the ribs and she's talking about how she can let her hair down when she's with the right guy.
I remember this video.
There's like sauce all over her face, but she still looks hot.
Right. I don't know.
You remember the video?
I do remember the video, and she did look hot.
But she's also Jessica Simpson, so I don't know.
I don't associate having
sauce all over your face,
a brisket platter before I get to the fucking.
Right before you get on the airplane.
Right, and the airplane. Hey, this is horrific.
Yeah, ribs are not something I would order on a date where I was trying to date the person.
No. Ribs, mac and cheese, beans.
Ribs is like we have to establish exclusivity.
Yeah, you can't. No. No woman should see me eat barbecue.
Same here.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. What's the song, the viral video? Ribs, grits, chicken, beef. Do you know the song I'm talking about?
I don't know what song you're talking about.
It's corn. Yeah. It's this like woman rapping what you'd have at Thanksgiving.
Sounds like what you'd have at barbecue.
It does sound like a barbecue, but it's like I thought you said grits. Oh, here it is. Grandma Thanksgiving rap song. Beans, greens, potatoes.
We play it?
Yeah, I got it.
Is that going to be copyright?
It's a YouTube video.
I think we'll probably find.
She said, this is a preacher.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes,
It is catchy.
greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken.
Did you ever see this go around on Thanksgiving?
I've never heard that before. But
Beans, greens, potatoes,
now
tomatoes. Yeah.
That's going to be all I'm thinking about as I have none of that stuff tonight. That is not on the Passover Seder menu.
No, it is not. You're getting matzah.
Like old radish, whatever it is.
Maror.
Or some bullshit.
Apples.
Ugh.
It's horrific.
It's not great.
Yeah. Okay. So he owns his own barbecue company. So when I got there, he had just come from an event and had leftover barbecue and asked if I wanted ribs. I said yes. After he putting them in the oven to cook, we go to his bedroom and have sex. The sex this time around was not great. Oh, really? You mean to tell me?
Post-rib sex?
Right. The guy who smells like a barbecue event near the airport wasn't just a fantastic lover?
Not the ambiance you want.
No. I said yes, and he put them in the oven. Oh, the sex this time around was not great. Maybe 30 seconds with zero foreplay. Definitely disappointing, but given the situation, especially with the night we had before, not that serious. I like her attitude.
Yeah.
Anyways, we go back to the kitchen to eat the ribs.
So while they're cooking, they have the sex for 30 seconds. Okay.
Ribs in the oven. Rib in the oven.
Leftover ribs.
Yeah.
Not even like he got this as like dinner for them. I don't know.
This is all disgusting.
Lost all of the sex appeal.
Right. Yeah, stick the ribs in the oven and come over here and let me eat you out. I'd take a bite, then go back to the bedroom to grab my luggage. When I came back out, he goes, "How was it?" I thought it was a kind of forward question, but decided to be honest and say, it was fine, I guess. A lot shorter than I would have liked. Last night was definitely better. And he just stared at me for a couple seconds before he said, I was talking about the ribs. Hope you get a kick out of this one. Keep doing the Lord's work. Best BB Queen of putting her foot in her mouth.
That is very funny.
Very funny.
I love that. Here's the thing. The good lesson from this awkward sex story is it sounds like like she said, the perfect one night stand. You got to just leave it.
Right.
When you try to like get seconds, you get greedy.
Right.
It all,
just like the ribs.
It becomes ickier.
Well, that's my dad's said this my whole life.
That's why you don't go to the same vacation spot.
You can never repeat.
Yeah.
He's like, you had a good time. You try and reform that good time and have it again. It's always compared to the first time. You never have the magic that you had on that first time. You can never repeat. He always said it. This is exactly the situation. They tried to repeat. She's like, I'm going to go back for that.
It's very rare to have a second experience be as good or better than the first.
Abs very rare.
Yeah.
The minute he turns into Porky Pig, and
the whole situation is not hot. It's hot to be like, because here's the thing. The first night is like no expectations. It'll just be great. It's hot. It's at night. He's coming over there. You have a controlled environment. Right. Hotel. Second night, you're like, this feels icky.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know why she would have said yes. That's why I'm like.
Because I think she's like off. She's thinking about the night before and she's like, that was really fun. Let me have a little more fun. But then it never is.
Even, I would be offended if I was him for the ribs, if that was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, I guess it's
which
better
one is
that
more
she
offensive?
Better that she didn't insult that's his company.
Right.
So I guess better in that way.
Yeah, I would rather, because you both had the sex. You both know.
Right.
It was 30 seconds.
Yeah, and you're never going to see her again. So.
And she was complimentary the night before. And it's like, that's really all you need as a guy, is that just so they know you can.
Right. I would have been like, but what about, so what did you think of
the ribs? my life, my life's work is the ribs.
That's so awkward, though. I wonder how that ended.
With her waiting for the Uber to the airport.
At least it's close.
Right. What would you call this?
He put it should have been like, it was, I know you have a flight to catch. That's why it was so short.
That's a good response.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, didn't want to hold you up.
Yeah. I like Maddie's. She had brisket and quit it.
That's funny.
Baby back bang, the dry rub.
Love the dry rub. This reminded me of the Who's on First joke.
I don't get it.
There's Who's on First is Abbott and Costello, I think. Is that who it was? Who's on first? It's a whole dialogue where they talk about who's on first, and it's all confusion in words.
Okay.
So in similar fashion.
Interesting.
So I would call this
Who's on First.
What's that?
You'd call it Who's on First?
Who's on First? There might be a sexual version of that I could use. Comes on first. I don't know.
I like that. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you need a ride to the airport?
Right. I like that. The lack of ride to the airport.
Priority pass.
TSA free. Let's do another email.
Let's do it. Okay. Hey, J&J. My boyfriend and I have been dating for over 2 years, and we were looking to move in together this summer. We both couldn't be more excited for this step, but we are stuck on how to navigate the move. My boyfriend is 31 and has been living with his roommate since they were in college. They have been in their current apartment since they were 26. It is huge, renovated in a perfect location, has a private rooftop, and the rent is jaw-droppingly low. I'm talking over $3,000 less than what it could be rented for. The landlord has only increased the rent by $100 each year, which is unheard of in New York City. It's fair.
Yeah.
It's a unicorn apartment, which my boyfriend found years ago, and he is in the industry. In my mind, I figured we would be looking for a new place, fresh start, My boyfriend wants to stay in his current place, which I have no opposition to. I love his apartment in general, but I specifically love the price. Who wouldn't?
Oh, yeah.
Is it socially acceptable to kick out his roommate? Neither of us know the best way to go about this because he doesn't want to taint their friendship, and I don't want him to either. The thing is, the roommate cannot afford the place on his own, so if we don't take over the lease, the apartment will likely go back on the market, so neither of us nor him would be able to keep this incredible apartment. To answer a fair question you might have, why doesn't someone else move into the apartment with the roommate? Well, all of their friends are in their 30s and either live alone or with their significant others. And the roommate has voiced before in other unrelated conversations that he would never live with a quote unquote rando because he is way too particular. I mean, that's fair for being in your 30s. Not sure this stance would hold when push comes to shove, though. To be frank, it would suck for this whole friend group if we lost the apartment, as the roof is where we all spend a lot of time, and now my boyfriend has me daydreaming about the size of the place, bigger than anywhere I've ever lived, and relative to the market, not the world, low-ass rent. Is it selfish for us to want the apartment? Should my boyfriend ask his roommate to move out? Should he ask him if he would live with a random roommate in the current apartment first, then go from there? Should we just find our own place and risk the apartment going back on the market? Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you in advance. Sincerely, we want the unicorn.
This is an interesting email.
To me, the answer is like obvious.
Pretty simple.
Yeah. You ask the roommate. You say you tell the roommate of your plans to live with your girlfriend.
Right.
And then you say, there's a few options. You could keep the apartment for
Right.
yourself. You could find a new roommate.
Right.
Or I would also be open to taking the apartment.
Right.
And living there with her.
I thought the same thing.
I would give the roommate the option.
Right. Place it in front of them.
Yeah.
Hear them talk about it. Because you're going to hear them go, well, I thought, maybe I could do this or maybe you could do that. I wouldn't live here with a rando. Like you're going to hear them
thinking it out.
Right.
Right.
And that will give you more answers than anything else. And at the end of the day, you get to say, my girlfriend and I would like to move here if that's not one of the options. Know that we do want that. So you kind of make it their problem.
Right. And then they can, again, if they can live there without, then it's their decision, which I think is a nice thing to do if you're the one who's like leaving. I always think it's nice for the person who's like breaking whatever the current situation is to give the other person options.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you 100%. I had the same thought of like, the idea that like, they're 31. I don't think that like they're going to be, even friends broke up. Right. They even moved on from their Central Perk. Like, I don't know how long this roof alliance is going to be going on. Like, I understand her dreams and how she sees it.
The whole friend group is going to be here partying until we're 40.
Right. The friend group's fucked no matter what.
Right.
Apartment or no apartment. You might just be at a party by yourself. I like the idea though, is she's like, is it selfish? Most couples act in their best interest.
I mean, why would it be selfish?
I don't think it is at all.
It'd be selfish if she was like, so we're going to live here and you
get the fuck out.
Right. That would be selfish because it's like assuming that you get it. It's like, do you want it? We'd like it. If you want it, we can discuss who can get it.
Right.
In a fair way. We can flip for it, whatever it is.
Right. And if you want it, I guess we'll leave because we're the ones shaking things up.
Right.
And we want to move in
Which would be the
together.
fair thing.
Right.
But if they don't want it and they can't afford it on their own and they don't want another roommate, then that might be the problem might solve itself.
How long did you have a roommate for?
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah, 22 to, I think I got my own apartment at like 27, 26, 27.
I was 22 to 25 roommate.
Okay.
Then I was on my own. Then my brother moved to town, moved in with him.
Oh, so you went from living alone to living
with a roommate, which was fun.
Right.
Then moved on my own around 31.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's normal.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. But, New York is like.
How was going from living on your own to back to a roommate? I guess it's your brother, so it's a different level of comfort.
Living with a brother was easy.
Right.
Because like there were like matches. Like a match gets lit and you'd have your argument and it was done. It would go away. Like it just, things were had out. There was no passive aggressive. Do they like that I don't do the dishes? Do they mind?
But it would probably be harder to go from living alone to living with like even a friend or something.
Absolutely. Also, I think it's hard to go from living alone to living with a partner.
Yeah.
The biggest difference when I was moving in with a partner was really like, oh, I have to be embarrassed of these things.
I need to be a little bit more Covert. What are you embarrassed?
Well,
what are you
like
embarrassed by?
I, on the special, I talk about eating at night.
Right.
Like, and sneaking around trying to eat at night. And if you're a nighttime eater, you don't want to be known as the nighttime
You want to do
pig.
that. Be disgusting on your as
Right.
disgusting. You want to be
Yes.
able to be disgusting without judgment by yourself.
Right.
Right.
And it's like, did you get up a third time to eat a slice of cheese? You have to go, yes. You have to like say the things out loud
Right.
that you're not used to saying out loud. And that happens with a roommate that's a significant other where you're like,
I mean, especially in the pandemic, I feel like.
Oh my
Because
God.
then it's like, this is how you spend your day.
right. Is this how much work you actually do?
Right. There was I
Right.
think there's a lot of that of like micro analyzing exactly like you hear someone's work voice.
Right. Hey everybody. If I could
You're like,
get your
I'm dating
attention.
that person?
Yeah, that's who I'm with. This fucking loser. Yeah. Yeah, the whole move-in thing is
You just take a nap at 4 p.m.
yeah, that's what I do every Monday. What time does the day start for you? Like,
Right.
A
No,
lot of
there's a lot of
questions
that.
that are actual
Yeah.
judgments.
Right.
What time do you get started every day? They go, I don't know.
That wasn't something people had to deal with before.
No. And now you know.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck. I am with the disgusting.
And then that's their choice to
Right.
put up with that. Okay.
We're chugging through
We're
this
doing it.
epi today. Look at this.
Making moves. I'm
That's
proud
right.
of us.
We did it.
We had a succinct intro today.
It was a succinct intro. I didn't come in with my, as someone wrote in the comments, can't unsee those comments.
That is
What'd
the-
they say with Jared's 700th mental breakdown about dating?
I think it said rant.
Rant.
I didn't say breakdown.
I read it as mental breakdown. I read it
a
as
little mentee bee to start the day.
just a light mentee bee.
I mean, this is the podcast of honesty. We're not coming
Absolutely.
on here showing you we're not sugarcoating shit for you
No,
here. When
no,
it's
no, no,
bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's good. And I
That's
think
right.
that there's just as many people who appreciate
My
you
mentee
keeping
bees.
it real with your mentee bees.
My mentee bees. That's a great t-shirt. Make it look like make it look like Mentos. The Mentos wrapper.
The non-fresh maker.
Right.
Jared, are you ready to play some games?
Cannot wait to play some game.
Let's get into Faux Pas or Nah, presented by Faux Pas Can Cocktails. Every single Faux Pas can is based on a tried and true cocktail. Vodka soda, spicy marg, tequila soda, vodka mule. You can't go wrong. And it goes without saying on this show that we're into keeping it real, which is what we just talked about.
Right. The spicy mango marg. First of all, love saying it.
It's delicious.
Spicy mango marg.
It rolls off the tongue.
Right.
Both metaphorically and literally.
I just opened it. It
Smells great.
Smells like delicious.
Got like the perfect kick.
It really does. Two of these, you're floating, man.
It's the best.
On a flotilla.
Keeping it real, which is why there's only real vodka or real Blanco tequila, no artificial flavors or gluten in these drinks. Now, let's keep it real with some Faux Pas or Nah.
We have some really good ones today.
These are great.
These are really good. You want me to read the first?
Yeah, go for it. To reiterate, a faux pas
Right.
is pretty much like a red flag. You're
Right.
still in.
Nah.
It's a social faux pas, but you're okay. Nah, we're out.
Right. We just aired an episode where we fucked it up. We're now on the straight and narrow. Right.
One day we will get it right.
One day. Okay. Faux pas or nah. Instead of sending a rose on Hinge to stand out, they DM if the standout lists their Insta handle. So they DM, and it's if the person they're trying to stand out to lists their handle. Okay.
So DM, is this not the same as the question? It's just like they're DM you.
They see you on the apps and they DM you. But
right?
it's, yeah, right. Well, is it a faux pas or not?
I almost feel like I'd prefer that to a rose, personally.
Interesting.
Because I'm kind of, I don't know, the rose seems a little cheesy.
If the, right,
And I can always block you from the
right.
DM if I'm not interested. Like, it shows an extra level of effort that's not as cheesy for some reason.
If their Insta is in their profile,
Yeah.
it's allowable
Yeah.
because they can't be surprised. They can't go, "Whoa, how'd you get my Insta?"
Right. You put it out there.
You
You're
put it out
open
there.
to being DM'd.
Right. That is what you're saying.
Yes.
If there's no handle,
I agree. Then it's a nah.
Then it's a nah.
If there's
Right.
a handle,
Go
faux
for
pas.
faux pas.
little,
or
yeah.
not even.
It's a little bit of a faux pas.
Yeah,
I would
you
prefer.
gotta acknowledge.
We're here on the app. Like this is the place where we're supposed to speak.
Right.
Again, it's like the faux pas for the wrong person.
Right.
If I'm into it,
cute or creepy.
not
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
not
yeah.
even a faux pas. But if I'm not, then faux pas, I'm just gonna probably block you, and that's the end of it.
Right. And if you say like, hey, you have to kind of, as we talked about last episode with like just getting DMs in general, hat in hand.
Yes.
You can't act like you're above what you're doing. You are the person doing it.
Yeah, say it's a little weird. I don't want to make you. I didn't want to make it you uncomfortable. I saw you on the apps. I thought I would just message you directly. Something whatever.
Complimentary. Hey, I saw you in the apps. Maybe you already saw me. You're totally my vibe. I figured that I'd come over here because I saw your Instagram handle. Would love to get a drink sometime.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Have it. Just do it. Don't dilly-dally.
Yes.
Like, if they were just like, hey, saw you on Hinge.
And
No.
then no response is a no.
Right.
And anything other than, oh, great, I didn't even notice you. Like, here's my number.
Right.
Would love to get a drink.
Here's the thing. You can be blissfully naive to the fact that they might have seen you on Hinge. You cannot be blissfully naive to the fact that they didn't. Oh, maybe I had someone,
Right.
hey, pinging you,
No.
moving this up the page. No, I saw it the first time.
That's when you're annoying.
Right.
That's the difference between shooting your shot and being annoying.
Right. I mean, I got
Ping.
it was just moving this to the top
No.
type of message.
I saw it. What's that meme? I seen it.
I seen it. Yeah, done. Let's do another one.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, J&J. With Faux Pas Or Nah, I'm in desperate need of an answer to. My boyfriend loves having individual photos taken of himself. Oh, God. He went on an Ireland trip for 2 weeks last month. Every single day, I received a text from him with a series of 7 to 10 photos of just himself. Some of the time, he was not even standing in front of the scenery. It would be in front of a random brick wall or something.
Oy.
I would understand a few individual photos of him, but I probably received 60 of just him posing on this trip. He had friends with him too. Why didn't they just hop into the photos? Why didn't he send photos of the scenic spots? The worst part is that for the last 3 days of the trip, he was by himself. I can only imagine him going up to multiple strangers in random locations asking for photos of himself. Now, when I look at his Instagram, I notice that he has a history of this.
Oh, no.
This is a problem. The majority of the photos are of just him. This all feels so odd to me and honestly gives me the ick. I'm a basic girl and I do not take nearly this many photos of myself. J&J, please tell me if I'm being unrealistic here. Sincerely, a girl whose boyfriend is trying to be an Instagram model. I want to know how long they're dating. She didn't say that.
She's not being unrealistic. It's a little weird.
I agree. It's a lot.
I do. Well, here's the thing.
Is it like sending someone selfies of yourself, I think is like kind of cute. If it's like a posed picture, excessive,
If it's
like
you
take the picture of
just like that. Like, I don't know. I'm in the picture game.
right.
Like, here's the thing.
A selfie is like kind of funny.
Selfie, if you're doing something, if it makes sense to the scene, like she said, there's not even a scenery.
Right.
Just him in a brick wall. Like, yeah, I could sound like a hypocrite right now because I post pictures. Let me just say this.
When do you post pictures of yourself in front of scenery?
I don't. I mean, I just posted a picture of me holding the mic on stage. And that's promotional.
Different. Yeah.
Here's what I will say. As a guy, I don't think there's any reason to post on social media as a guy other than to be funny or to fuck or to fuck because you were funny.
Okay.
Like, I don't see any reason that this guy posting other than to get attention from women. That's I can't see otherwise.
Also, like, does he have no shame in asking his friend to date? Like, if you were on a trip with your friends and this guy multiple times a day was like, could you take a picture of me here?
It's bizarre.
Wouldn't you be like,
I would be like, what's going on?
a lot of pictures.
I'll never forget it. We were at a wedding. My buddy.
Girls do that a lot, but like, it
Right,
seems
but
more
there's
socially
it's
acceptable.
just different. I know that's not right to say, but like
It's a double standard.
it's a double standard. Women follow female in Instagram models.
Mm-hmm.
Like no man follows male Instagram models.
Right.
So like for style, like listen, how many girls have I dated? Oh, I love her style. I'm gonna follow her. It's like a fashion inspo. It's almost, like there's people that like make their money doing that.
Right.
There is no guy who does that. I am telling you, like it's like when a guy, I've brought this up before, when he dresses as a pirate for Halloween.
It's for a reason, right?
Right. And he goes and he doesn't do funny pirate. He does sexy pirate. Eyeliner.
So you think it's a sign that this guy is like trying to hook up with other people?
He's out there.
Okay.
This guy ain't just.
He's not just super vain.
Right. No. No. I don't buy that.
Right.
I think.
Well, that's why I'm saying if it was for her, I think it would be like a selfie, like, oh, look at,
right.
Like, here's me and like the cool background, like that I'm taking myself. It's like a wacky picture.
Right. If it's posted on social media,
right.
I'm telling you, my posts are different as a single guy as they were as a relationship guy.
So it's a nah from you. I think I would have the ick as well.
Yeah, nah. It's just, I don't buy it. Jorge, do you know what I'm talking about?
A little bit.
Jorge's like, have you seen my Instagram?
I-
It's all pictures of me against a.
You're not on Instagram. You answer my question. You're in a long-term
There you
relationship.
go.
Right. No need.
So you think there's exceptions?
There's so, I mean, not to say there's no.
Him just being a very vain, like kind of ridiculous guy. In which case, the answer is still the same. It's a no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
The
true.
vanity's
It's not
the
my
nah.
style. I think I agree. Even if that's just his thing and he's not out there trying to hook up,
Right.
I would still be like, this is not like my vibe. I don't like it that much.
I just don't believe that there's a reason for a straight man, to be on social media other than to be funny or to fuck.
Okay.
And that is warning to the female
Or if
audience.
you're you, to sell tickets.
Be funny.
Or if let's say you were an artist.
Artists,
get
if there's a
promotional
business,
purposes,
if there's a
yes.
business involved. But like I guess that's my version of be funny.
Right.
Like if there's a business
For work
or
hooking up.
hooking
Do you
up.
ever post a picture and you're like, this is like a little bit of a thirst trap for me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I feel sad for myself, and I can hear people talking about me.
I do that too.
Listen.
You want to look. You want to have people to look at your profile and think you're attractive.
It's why I take a picture from up here and not down here.
right.
I'm not taking a picture from below my chin. No, I'm in charge. I'm going up top, making it look like I have a, square jaw. Like
Angles. I get it. Yeah.
Angles. This is the thing. Nobody makes
When you were in a relationship, though, did you care?
You care, but no one makes you look worse than a girlfriend in a picture.
Well, it's like they were
Doesn't
looking
give
at
a fuck
one
about
person.
you. Yeah. You're in fucking, you're the scenery. Right. Boyfriends.
Well, you want the person to look socially acceptable.
Right. You want them to look like you want Mike to look good, but not sexy.
Yeah, just like presentable.
Right.
I don't want. Yeah.
Presentable.
Yeah.
Because this is just
I'm looking at me first.
right.
Right.
And I'm not saying like this. I don't know if this is a controversial thing that I'm saying, but it sounds
so.
bad to me out of my mouth. I'm like, but I do
Well,
believe
it's a
that.
double standard. Society isn't always fair.
Right.
Not if you're a man who loves taking pictures of yourself in front of scenic backgrounds, they're gonna turn some people off.
I don't buy it.
That's fair. All right.
Let's do
so
one more.
Or it's a nah.
Nah.
You want to read the last one?
We're in Nahville. Okay. Hey, J&J. I have a faux pas or nah for you. I went on a first date with a guy from the apps, and he mentioned he returned from our neighboring province yesterday.
Canada, I assume.
Oh, Canada, we use words like province. They didn't spell neighboring with the O-U that they usually do. Yeah, I don't know. I asked if he was there for work, to which he replied, no, my ex-girlfriend lives there and we had our final goodbye. I essentially burst out laughing, explaining this sounds very fresh, and I wondered why he didn't want a break period after a 4-year relationship. Is this a faux pas or not? Should I give him another date because of all the boxes he does check and just move very slowly? Or is it this too fresh and only setting myself up to get hurt? Would love the feedback. Thanks for the laughs and great advice. Sincerely, trying not to be a rebound bitch.
This would definitely be a faux pas or red flag for me. Not because it's so bad to be going on getting a closure thing with your ex, but because if you're saying it, I think to your date, you're giving them a hint.
Right.
You're setting your like you say, like you're sort of setting the excuse up for later.
Right. You're letting them know what they're getting into.
Right. Because if I was very excited about a date I don't think I would be mentioning that, even if I did it.
Right. You do want to be honest. Like, you do want to say, like,
I mean, dishonest is I'm in a relationship currently that I haven't ended, but I had a last lunch with my ex. I don't think you need that level
right.
of honesty.
Like, even a month later, you could go, well, remember when I was on that trip? That was actually the last lunch, and I was really like excited about us, so I didn't want to bring it up and ruin things.
I think that would be fine.
You're right.
Yeah.
The fact that they're saying it is the problem. It's not even that it is.
Right. I just think that's a little too. I don't think that you can talk about your ex. I have no problem with someone talking about their ex on a first date, but I think saying it like that would be a little bit like, just so you know, this is a super fresh breakup, and that might come back to this at the later in the.
Who the fuck has a final goodbye?
So many people have a final goodbye.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard about that all the time.
I've done that where you're like, we're gonna talk again.
Well, where do you think that happens?
At the final goodbye?
Some people are like, I think it's nice if someone asks, if you had a real relationship and someone asks you for a closure meeting to go.
Oh, you gotta give it to them.
Most people don't want to do that, but they go. And then I think it's a nice thing to give to someone, even if you don't want to do it.
I get
I don't think you need to give 5, but I think you can do one last.
And this is our final goodbye. Like, I don't know, the way it's said, maybe I guess you don't call it that.
Well, I could see it's almost like what's the word? Like a last go over of like everything, like a closure-y, let's just wrap this up kind of thing.
Put a bow on it.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Wish you well. Things have not changed, and
still don't want to be with you.
Still don't want to be with you. Right. Sometimes someone's like, it would just help me to see one more, so I can ask all the questions that I want to ask, or say all the things that I want to say. And I think you can give that to someone, especially if you were in like a real relationship. But I wouldn't talk about it on a date.
Right. Where are you getting back from? The final goodbye with my love of my life. Didn't work out. Happy to get drinks with you. Anything going on this weekend?
I mean, isn't that after the final rose?
Right.
They bring the person on, and then the person's always like, well, why did you tell me that when you were going to just break up with me the next? Like, there's always like a thing that the person has been thinking of since the breakup that they feel like they've always wanted to ask. And so they're asking so they can stop thinking about what the answer is, or if they could ask them, which I think is fine and fair.
Right. Do you think anyone can get into a relationship right away after the, like, I mean, I don't like the perspective of this question. Like, the idea that, like, well, I don't want to get hurt. Like, well, then who? If you like this guy, go on the date.
I don't know. I mean, like, I could understand being turned off by that. It depends. Also, like, what is the? Did he say if he was the breaker upper? I think if it was presented like, I broke up with my girlfriend 3 months ago. She actually, and this is a way for someone to get to know someone. Let's say, broke up with my girlfriend 3 months ago. I just knew we weren't the match, and we weren't going to be. I didn't want to get married, or I didn't want to move in, or I didn't want to do whatever the next step was. She asked me to get lunch just so that she could ask any final questions, and I said I wanted to give her that, so that's where I came from. But if it was like, I asked for this, if someone is asking for the lunch, I'm out.
Right.
Because to me, that's like, I need this to try to get over it, and it indicates I'm not over it. But if someone is agreeing to a lunch because they broke up with the person, I'm okay with it.
Right. And even the tone you use to explain it, I'd be like comforted by the tone.
Yeah.
Like,
because it seems like you're not villainizing the person.
Right. It was just something I had to do. You know, or it's, I really needed that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you really needed it,
Right.
chances are you were the person who got broken up with and you're not over it yet, which is fine and totally normal. But I wouldn't, if I told that to a date, I would expect the date to be like a little, should you be here right now?
Right.
Maybe you need to take like a week or two after this lunch.
Right. Get back to me. Circle around.
Yeah.
In the future.
So it's a, if they initiated the lunch, it's a nah. If they said yes to the lunch, it's a faux pas.
I'm with you.
Okay.
You know what the biggest faux pas you can make?
What is it?
Not having faux pas stocked and ready to go for your next girls trip or date night in. I love faux pas.
I love faux pas.
Huge fan.
It's
Delicious.
almost summer. It makes me like just ready for summer.
Right.
You know?
This is what's going to get
Smells
you
like
through
summer.
April. It
Yes.
smells so fucking good. It is going to get you through April. Days like today, rainy, gray, gross.
Gross.
Throw a faux pas in a glass with a little bit of ice. Woo!
Envision those Mayflowers.
That's right. Delish. I love the mango margarita, spicy mango. I love a little spice. Visit www.fauxpascocktails.com to find your favorite faux pas near you. That's FAUXPAS, and follow @DrinkFauxPas on Instagram so you don't miss out on any of the tequila.
And that's it for our show. We'll be back on Sunday with a very... they're
Ooh,
not going to want to miss Sunday's episode.
a very special Sunday special.
Indeed. I think this will be very, I don't want to say entertaining, but like entertaining.
For some.
Yes. The U Up podcast is produced by Sean Kilby, Maddie Paul, and Jorge Morales Pico. Editing by Jorge Morales Pico. Social media by Maddie Paul. Be sure to follow @u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.